for your play-by-play for the Abby Canucks. You've got it locked in the line change. A Vancouver Canucks podcast.
The clock is officially ticking. We are just over a week away from the March 6th trade deadline, and the Vancouver Canucks are at a massive crossroads. Does management actually have the stomach for a real rebuild, or are we just going to keep spinning our wheels here? The most franchise-altering move they could possibly make is on the table, trading away Elias Pettersson. Now, I know we just did a trade or keep video where we lean towards holding him, but the landscape has shifted just a little bit. Now, TSN's Darren Dreger has dropped quite the update on insider trading this week, reporting renewed trade interest in Elias Pettersson. Today, we're breaking down the three major suitors, why the LA Kings might also be the front runners for Elias Pettersson, and the multi-million-dollar salary retention hurdle that could make or break this entire whole deal. Now, let's look at what Dreger actually said. He noted that the Canucks are actively hoping this interest progresses into a quote-unquote worthy trade offer. That tells you everything that you need to know about where this management's head is at. They aren't just taking calls, they're looking for a reason to say yes. Interestingly, Pettersson's agents at CAA are reportedly in the loop. His agent, JP Barry, has been very clear. It's not quote-unquote real until a GM calls with a specific deal. Well, according to those latest reports, those surface level discussions are becoming a lot more frequent. If the Canucks move PD just 2 years after that massive extension, it's the ultimate signal to this fan base that the quote-unquote retool in a hybrid form is dead and buried. The team that makes the most sense right now is, of course, the LA Kings. GM Ken Holland is in a spot where he has to go big game hunting at this NHL trade deadline. They lost Kevin Fiala to a season-ending injury during the Olympics, and they have a massive hole in their top six scoring. But it's not just a short-term fix. Long-term, the Kings are staring at life after Anze Kopitar. Replacing Kopitar's minutes is impossible with a quote-unquote depth move. You need a superstar. I know, I'm using that term very loosely with Pettersson here, but he is 27. He won't age out. He won't age out of his prime as fast as guys like Ryan O'Reilly or Vincent Trocheck. But there's also the very, very small Olympic bump. PD's 2-goal performance in the Olympics that reportedly really helped skyrocket LA's interest in Pettersson again. And don't forget the chemistry factor, PD and good old Andrei Kuzmenko. Man, I miss Kuzi. They've shown that they can be productive together. They were quite the duo here in Vancouver. Plus, the off-ice, when it comes to off-ice stuff, PD's wife, Caitlin, lived in LA for years. If there's one team he'd waive his no-trade clause for, it's very likely the LA Kings, and he has reportedly said that he's always wanted to play in LA. Then you have the Detroit Red Wings, specifically Steve Yzerman's Detroit Red Wings and their legendary track record with Swedish players. And Detroit finally has the assets to make this work. They need a true number one center to push them into that elite contender bracket. Of course, the team that just doesn't seem to want to go away, the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, we all remember they almost landed PD before he signed his mega deal with Vancouver. They reportedly offered a package around Marty Necas and Jesperi Kotkaniemi. At least back then anyway, even though they ended up pivoting to Mikko Rantanen, and well, we all know how that one ended. Nick Kyprios of Sportsnet reports that Carolina is still very much in the mix on Elias Pettersson. They know PD is the type of player who could very well put their system over the top and be that last piece to the puzzle so they can get over the quote-unquote conference hump. Here's where it gets pretty complicated, though. Rick Dhaliwal reported that salary retention is the biggest sticking point. One team, perhaps LA or Detroit, I'd probably lean more towards Detroit in this part because salary is not an issue for LA. They have, of course, $15 million in cap space. So I'd lean more towards Detroit if it was Detroit actually telling Dolly. They told him that they need Vancouver to eat between $2.6 million and $3 million per year on his contract, meaning they need to retain that much per year. They want Pettersson's cap hit under $10 million. So, for a team starting a rebuild, this is actually a smart move. The cap is jumping from $95.5 million to $104 million next season. Vancouver has the retention spots. They're only using one right now, which is for Ilya Mikheyev, eating $3 million a year and that is a small price to pay if it means you get potentially an extra unprotected first round pick or a blue chip prospect like a Quentin Byfield. We've of course heard his name in these rumors surrounding Pettersson a lot, although I just don't see the Kings parting with Byfield or maybe even a Brandt Clark, although LA also might be hesitant to move him as well. Although LA knows you got to give to get. So who knows? Maybe that does get something. Either it ends up being a Byfield or a Brandt Clark. You have to use your cap space as a weapon. Now, in our last video, we talked about waiting until his bonus is paid out to make him easier to move, but the market is hot right now. If you wait until the summer, maybe LA finds another solution. Maybe Detroit spends their assets elsewhere. We're not even going to mention Carolina, as they'll likely always pick up the phone when it comes to Elias Pettersson. As we mentioned, they just don't seem to want to go away. Whenever the whole, speculation about PD being traded comes up, always Carolina is in the mix. Now, if the Canucks are serious about building a future Stanley Cup contender around guys like, Gavin McKenna, they need to maximize the return on Pettersson today. Retaining salary to boost that return shows a level of executive competence we haven't seen here in a very, very long time. Is the Pettersson era officially over in Vancouver? If you're Ken Holland, do you give up the farm to get him? Let me know your trade proposals in the comments down below. I want to see what you guys think is a worthy offer for Elias Pettersson. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe to The Line Change, and be sure to have your notifications turned on so you don't miss more in-depth analysis of your Vancouver Canucks. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props and live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN, that's code THPN, to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, Wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois, 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which will expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. This is a limited time offer. Copyright 2026 NHL. All rights reserved. This video has been a presentation of both DraftKings Sportsbook as well as the Hockey Podcast Network. Be sure to check out the network for your favorite podcast covering your favorite team at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com, the home of hockey podcasts, where it's every team, everywhere. Once again, drop your comments down below. Let me know give me those trade proposals. Put them in the comments. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys on the next line change.